Bryce Harper has been an absolute lightning rod of news as Phillies spring training has gotten started. But I'll tell you on today's episode why no Phillies fan should have a problem with anything he's been saying.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us today. We come to you as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And now the number one sports podcast network, Locked On Phillies, your number one place for Monday through Friday daily Philadelphia Phillies content. You might know me from some of my other work in the sports talk space. I've been on air over at 97.5 The Fanatic, doing sports talk radio here in Philly for over 6 years. Been a credentialed Philadelphia Phillies media member for the past 4 seasons. And this is now my 5th year as the host of Locked On Phillies. And today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Had a little bit of a delay in posting there for a second. Not sure if any of y'all are up here in the Northeast and got smoked by this snowstorm, but I was snowed into a hotel the past couple of days. So we are now back to our regularly scheduled episodes. Appreciate you bearing with us, and hopefully you got all that snow shoveled. But there's one thing you can't miss, even with a foot of snow falling on the Philadelphia area. You couldn't have missed Bryce Harper continuing to talk about his thoughts on the Philadelphia Phillies. We've had the commentary about Dave Dombrowski, the report about wanting Rhys Hoskins that has later been refuted by Bryce Harper. A Matt Gelb Athletic article just dropped today detailing where he's at mentally and what he's thinking about heading into a huge season for the Philadelphia Phillies. And Bryce Harper has always been the face of this franchise since signing. He's the guy. He's been the face of franchises since he was drafted by the Washington Nationals, basically, on the cover of Sports Illustrated as the chosen one, just like LeBron was back when he was, 15, 16 years old? Bryce Harper's not new to being a major focus, but it feels like this year he's been more of a lightning rod for the Philadelphia Phillies than ever in his time in the city. We're going to break all of that down. We're also going to get into a strong start to the spring for Justin Crawford in his first game action, and we're going to continue our season previews. Kyle Backhus is a name I think Phillies fans need to get to know because I think he could really make this team. And if he does, I think he brings some really unique stuff to the Phillies' high-level bullpen. But let's start with Bryce. So he's saying a lot of stuff, and I know people are exhausted with this baseball team because of the lack of postseason success over the past couple of seasons. I get why you're feeling the way you're feeling. There's some people who are just like, hey, if you're remotely related to the Philadelphia Phillies, player, manager, president of baseball operations, if you're wearing a Phillies sweatshirt and I don't know you, I'm going to be annoyed with you because of the way the team is played. I understand. We're tired of hearing about it. We want to see success. Problem is, you're going to have to make it through 6 months of the regular season before we even get a chance for them to try another shot at October. But all that aside, my point is that if you're exhausted with the Philadelphia Phillies telling you how good they are or what they're going to do or how they're going to change, you're not alone. I want to see it too. But Bryce Harper has been getting a lot of flack and a lot of support for his comments about everything with the Phillies. So let's detail kind of where Bryce Harper is at right now and what he's saying, because I don't believe that he's done anything with his comments where you shouldn't think, hey, he's right. So first and foremost, all of this starts with the Dave Dombrowski not elite comments. Bryce Harper comes out and he's like, yeah, that was wild that he said that. He wore the not elite shirt over the offseason that was posted. That was intentional. That was not an accident. He didn't get dressed in the dark and not see the shirt. Now, whether he made it or not is irrelevant. He was clearly hurt by that, and he has continued to mention that. Mentioned it on the Bussin' with the Boys podcast, mentioned it to media. He's not happy that Dave Dombrowski took those shots. But he made it very clear in the Matt Gelb Athletic article today, it's not anything between me and the Phillies. There's no tension there. And while I don't like that Dombrowski said that, it seems like the focus for Bryce Harper is just, hey, I got to go prove that narrative wrong. Now, he's also said he doesn't get motivation from stuff like that, which is, I think, a flat out lie. But bottom line is, whether he gets motivation or not, and I think he does, it seems like he's trying to kind of couch that narrative so that it doesn't become a bigger story of the Philadelphia Phillies season. He knows there's going to be a lot of people breaking down everything that you have to know about when it comes to how he's feeling and why he's been upset. But he also wants this to be a not him versus Dave Dombrowski thing. Then when you look at the roster stuff, like the comments he made talking about the cleanup spot, hey, whoever's in the 4-hole this year has a pretty big job to do because the big 3 guys, Turner, Schwarber, Harper, need better protection than what they've gotten. Turner's had protection from Schwarber. Schwarber's had protection from Harper. Bryce Harper has had Alec Bohm, JT Realmuto, Nick Castellanos batting behind him, and not enough has gotten done with those guys. So somebody needs to step up. Now tell me where you disagree with that. Tell me where you think the cleanup spot for the Philadelphia Phillies has been a strength over the past couple of seasons. If you're Bryce Harper and you see what you're doing for the guys ahead of you or what Schwarber's doing for Turner, wouldn't that annoy you? Phillies fans have talked about the cleanup spot for years. And now all of a sudden Bryce Harper says it and it's, oh, he's not keeping stuff in-house. What a hypocrite. No, he's right. The Rhys Hoskins report is an interesting one because Devin Caney of Sports Radio WIP says, hey, Bryce Harper went to Dave Dombrowski and was basically like, yo, we need Rhys Hoskins back on this baseball team. Bryce Harper has just recently refuted that, saying we talked about him at the trade deadline last year, but we haven't talked about him this offseason at all. Bottom line is this. The reason for wanting a player like Rhys back is to add right-handed power to the lineup. Isn't that something that we've been dying for as Phillies fans for years as well? They need more right-handed pop. Bryce Harper's trying to figure out a way to do that. Now, if you don't believe Rhys Hoskins is that guy anymore and you don't know how he fits defensively, join the club, because I don't know how that would have worked at all. And I think it's very fair that the Phillies didn't do that. But I don't blame Bryce Harper for wanting this team to add more right-handed power to balance out the lineup. Lefty pop, great. Righty pop, nearly non-existent. We'll see what Adolis Garcia has in store for his first season in Philadelphia. But complaining about that or trying to grease the wheels to get a deal done, telling ownership and the front office, like, hey, this is what I think we should do, that's in line with everything Philadelphia Phillies fans have been saying. And at no point has Bryce Harper said, oh, it's not on me, I'm doing my job. Or it's this team has failed me or anything like that. No, he has also mentioned, hey, I didn't have the season I wanted to have last year. I've got to be better. A big tone to everything, the Matt Gelb article, the podcast appearance, the media availability, everything you've heard from Bryce Harper is, yeah, like, listen, a lot of this is going to be on me. I'm happy to take on that responsibility. I always have. I do not run from it. I don't point the finger at other people. He's said, and it sounds cocky, but it's fair. Like, wherever this team goes, the first place they're going to point is Bryce Harper. And that's right. It is. You could say Kyle Schwarber is now like the more popular player on the team, especially after the season he had last year. You can question where Bryce Harper is as far as his elite status in his Major League Baseball career. But the bottom line is this. He's the lightning rod of this team. Has been since the day he signed, will be at least for the foreseeable future. And he takes on that responsibility. So I don't think there's anything that Bryce Harper has been saying leading up to this season that should have Phillies fans upset at Bryce Harper. I really don't. I think he's being more vocal this year, partially because Dave Dombrowski opened that door with the not elite comments. And that's something that I believe Harper has a right to defend himself on. And also because there's a lot of stuff that is really in jeopardy with this Phillies season. You can't run it back so many, and people might say that you said that last year, Connor. I didn't expect them to do it again. And I'm not really happy about how the offseason has played out. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of folks would look at it, but it wasn't the successful offseason that a lot of fans felt like they needed. So take that for what it's worth. We'll see when they play the games. But if you're going to get annoyed at Bryce Harper for questioning stuff that the Phillies have done this offseason and saying that, hey, this is what I would have rather seen us do, and it completely aligns with the large majority of the fan base's concerns about this team, is there any reason to be mad at Harper for doing that? I think that's part of what the territory comes with for Bryce Harper. And if you're also wondering, like, hey, it feels like we're hearing a lot more from Bryce Harper right now than we have at any spring training point in the past. Well, I don't think it's just like how big this season is for this franchise. I do also think it's important to remember that coming up this weekend, the guys playing in the World Baseball Classic are taking off. So it's going to be an extended period of time where the Philadelphia media does not get access to Bryce Harper. So you got a small time frame where you can ask him these questions. And I think that's been a little bit of why news has come out so like rapid fire on the Bryce Harper thing, is because everyone's asking for their opportunity to talk to him. Everyone's getting right to the biggest, most salient questions with Bryce Harper, and he's getting media availability out of the way because in less than a week, he's going to be with Team USA trying to win a World Baseball Classic. So I think part of it is also just the time frame of an offseason that is accelerated, or spring training that's accelerated, I should say, because of the World Baseball Classic break for all the players participating. But I don't think anybody should disagree with what Harper's been saying. Now, if all of this comes down to, yeah, but he better back it up on the field, you're damn right he has to, right? You can't have this type of offseason and go out and hit 250 and 20 home runs as Bryce Harper and say, yeah, mission accomplished. Like, no. Part of making these comments is putting a target even more on your back. But it was already going to be there. So I don't see any harm in the way that Bryce Harper's handling this offseason. And I hope that it leads to a great 2026 for him. I don't think this is a, hey, he's too distracted, because frankly, there's always been buzz about Bryce Harper every season of his major league career, and he's handled it to this point. So I think we're in a good spot with Bryce. I think he's in a good spot with the team. And I think everything that he's been talking about all offseason long has been completely fair. Now, something Phillies fans have been talking about all offseason long is, what impact could Justin Crawford have on the team? We're not calling him an all-star yet. We're not calling him a World Series caliber player yet, but he had a nice start to spring training. What have we learned about the young center fielder so far as the team got rolling in Clearwater? We'll talk about his debut as we continue today's episode. Let's talk about FanDuel first, though, because have you ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? Well, FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you're automatically going to be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. And you might already be looking at the board, trying to figure out what teams are going to make a deep run. This is the best time of the year to make those futures bets, because you can pick a team to win the championship, you can pick a team to win a conference, you can pick an award winner, but you have enough information to know how the season's going. We're not so deep, though, that everything's a lock. So you can still make some of those spicy long shot picks that you see something that the books don't. And now, not only can you pick cash, but it could also send you to the finals. So visit FanDuel.com to get started and use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Let's also talk about our Everydayer Club. I've been telling you about it, but we got some new opportunities for you with the Everydayer Club. So baseball is officially back, and you can lock in for the upcoming season by joining the Everydayer Club. It's going to get you ad-free episodes and access to our group chat on Discord, which I've told you about. This week only, you can use code SPRING. Yeah, like the season, SPRING, SPRING, for a free month. Go to lockedonphillies.supercast.co or tap the link in the show notes to go ahead and check it out and take your listenership, your viewership of Locked On Phillies to the next level by joining our Everydayers Club. Justin Crawford might be joining the Phillies Everyday Players Club if he continues the spring training that he started over the weekend. So the Phillies played their first spring training game on Saturday against the Toronto Blue Jays. And wouldn't you know it, Justin Crawford's in center field and batting leadoff. And he goes out And he has a 2-for-3 day, including showing off a little bit of pop, a little bit of launch angle. Makes a nice play in center field as well. Sliding, probably didn't have to slide to get it, but hey, you never know. I always used to, not that I'm a professional outfielder, I always used to like going into a slide if you feel uncomfortable about making the play standing up. However you catch it, you catch it. And that's kind of where we're at with Justin Crawford right now. I'm not in the level of the performance has to look a certain way or feel a certain way. I just want the numbers to look good. And they have throughout his minor league career. But it's a nice little boost to the confidence in what the kid could bring to see him go 2-for-3 in his first game. So what have we learned about Justin Crawford so far in spring training? Well, first of all, not much. I don't want anyone taking one game against the Blue Jays like minor league crew to say, oh, he's going to be just fine at the major league level. But there are a couple of indicators that we can get from that and stuff that's just generally been talked about at spring training. So the number one thing for Justin Crawford that I've seen by watching the games and gotten a chance to like talk to some folks who were down there at spring training, it doesn't seem like he's at any point overmatched or overwhelmed. That's something you'll see with young players. The game will speed up on them. There's certain things that they normally do well that are their bread and butter that they don't do because of the pressure of the game, the speed of the game. And it is just spring training, so it's not like there's a crazy amount of pressure or speed. But what did he do when he got his opportunity, his first one of the spring in a game situation? He went out, he put the bat on the baseball, he showed off his athleticism. Pretty darn good for what you should expect. So he seems like I'll tell you exactly what Justin Crawford seems like right now. He seems like the son of former major league player Carl Crawford in that he's been around clubhouses his entire life. He's been around the sport, even at this level, for his entire life. He seems to be ready to at least play at the major league level. Now, does that mean play well? Only time will tell. The other thing that's been really nice to see comfortability for Crawford with has been center field. Now, we've only gotten glimpses, and I don't want to overstate any of this, but basically the whole tenor of this conversation on Crawford right now is so far so good. And that's what it seems like the Phillies are saying down there in Clearwater too, from what I've been hearing, is so far so good on Justin Crawford. He didn't go like 3-for-4 with 3 home runs. He didn't create any crazy plays in center field, but he has just been a very stable, capable player that looks like he deserves to make this team. And that's all he has to do to make this team. The Phillies are going to give him every opportunity to be on this roster. The expectation is that he will be. So while he is, quote unquote, earning it, and you'll hear the Phillies say that and continue to say that throughout the spring, he's their center fielder. And with that comes a certain level of either confidence or a little bit of nervousness. And I haven't seen a nervous baseball player at all when I've watched Justin Crawford. And the center field stuff should make you feel better than the batting stuff. We know he can hit, right? And we know that this kid is going to be able to put the bat on the ball at the major league level. I don't think that there's any doubt that the guy's hit over 300 for the past 3 seasons is going to be able to come up to the major league level and at least find a way to get on base. So that's fine. A concern that I've told you is not a concern for a while, though, is his ability to play center field. I don't know. I don't feel as worried about that as some people purport to be. How big of a difference do you really think it is to play a spot in the corner versus to play in center? Okay, here are the main differences, right? Just to get a little, not too much, but a little in the weeds of outfield play. More ground to cover because you do not have the lines as like that boundary, the foul lines as that boundary. With more ground to cover, you need better jumps because you are more likely to play baseballs, fly balls to either side of you, right? If you're the right fielder of a team, you're probably only playing balls to your, not only, but mostly playing balls to your right. Because again, you have that line to your left and foul balls, don't have to worry about. Same with left field, just flipped, right? Center field, you got to be able to go to both gaps. which means you have to have better reads on the baseball to get better jumps. You also have to be incredibly athletic. You can hide an unathletic player in the corners for the same reason we just talked about. But Crawford is an incredibly athletic young player. The jumps will come. He will figure that out. But you can't play left at the major league level or right at the major league level without at least being able to track a baseball. And sure, will there be plays this year in center that he probably gets a bad read on that with experience he'll make later on in his career? That's absolutely going to happen. But for anyone who's okay, I would have been comfortable with him in left, but I'm not comfortable with him in center, I think that's always been overstated. I think it'd be more ideal for his development if less was asked of him, which is why I liked him as a left fielder. But I don't think this is throwing him completely to the wolves. I think he's going to be just fine in center, and I think he's going to get even better as the year goes on and he gains that experience. Plus, with a Gold Glove caliber right fielder in Adolis Garcia and some good defending options in left field, the best of those being Brandon Marsh, you're going to have some help with some veteran players on either side of you as well. So I love what I've seen from Justin Crawford so far. I'm not crowning the kid as rookie of the year or anything close to that and where we sit right now, but it's better than the alternative where he looks completely overmatched. We're status quo, maybe even a little bit better than that when it comes to the Justin Crawford experience, and that's a good place to be as we get ready to head into the month of March when the Phillies will start their regular season. Now, who will be in the bullpen in the final couple of spots when the regular season begins? We already talked about Zach McCambley, their Rule 5 draft pickup from the Marlins organization. Here's my pick for who's going to have that final spot right now. Kyle Backhus is a really interesting option for the Phillies bullpen, and we're going to talk about why as we continue today's episode. Let's talk about Indeed first, though, because workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles upon your post. And here's a stat that says it all, right? In the time I've been talking to you, just right now, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, why don't you spend less time searching and more time interviewing actual qualified candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs? That's the goal, right? Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing those candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. That's the golden formula for business, right? When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, that's what this is for. That's what Indeed Sponsored Jobs is for. And they're even going to cut you a great deal. Listeners of this show are going to get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Make sure you support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Phillies. Again, that's Indeed.com/podcast, and you'll get that $75 sponsored job credit. Terms and conditions apply. If you need to hire, that's a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. All right, we're going to get into Kyle Backhus' really intriguing start to spring training in his first year here in Philadelphia, previously with the Arizona Diamondbacks organization. I do just want to remind you, if you're watching us on YouTube, I really appreciate it, you can hit that subscribe button and you're going to get notifications when new episodes are posted. It's free and easy to subscribe, so there's really no reason not to do it. It takes like a second to do, but it really helps me out, and it helps you out keeping up with what we've got on Locked On Phillies. If you're just listening in audio form, we are available wherever you get your podcasts. I'd love if you could also rate and review if you're just checking us out in podcast form today. But I appreciate anyway you check out Locked On Phillies, especially we're in spring training, the off season. You guys have been with us. A lot of views and a lot of listens and everything like that. So I appreciate how much each and every one of you guys support what we do here on Locked On Phillies. Now, Kyle Backhus is a really interesting option for the Phillies bullpen. And I'm not pretending like I know some inside information as to who's going to get the final spot in the Phillies bullpen. I don't even know if they're going to keep Zach McCambley, who is their Rule 5 draft pickup from the Marlins, where if he's not on the 26-man roster, they got to offer him back to the Marlins, right? So that's a guy that basically has to be on the team or they lose him. And I don't even know if he's going to be in the bullpen. There's 6 spots locked down, and then there's 2 up for grabs. But let me talk to you about why Kyle Backhus is a guy that I could very much see in that final bullpen spot. And the number one thing is his delivery. One of the names that I looked at, that I was like, this is a guy that you need to go after this offseason, was Rogers, the submariner, that out of the bullpen that has given the Phillies fits previously with the Giants and every other organization in baseball, as good relievers normally are. And unfortunately, the Phillies did not sign him, but I would have liked to have him on the team. But he's basically scraping his knuckles on the ground when he's releasing the baseball. And it's just such a weird, funky release that you're not used to seeing it. And you only see it for 1 at bat a night if you're one of the 3 batters that he gets the opportunity to strike out. And that's it, right? So it's a very hard adjustment to make. Now, Bacchus isn't a true submariner, but my God, if you haven't seen this guy's delivery, you need to go watch it. There's a video that was posted from down in spring training. I'm sorry, I forget who posted it, so I apologize for not being able to specifically credit. But it's a phone video from behind where the Phillies players are kind of just going through their pre-at-bat routines. They're doing live at-bats, and it's like JT Remuto's over there and a couple other of the regular players. And Bacchus is on the mound, and he delivers, and there's like a crowd pop from the group of Phillies players waiting to get their at-bats in. Like, what in the world is this guy throwing like? That's something that can't be overstated, how much the weird delivery and the weird release point can completely throw off hitters at the major league level. Now, the question is, how effective can he be with that type of delivery? And we don't have a lot of data on that. He made his major league debut last year for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He threw 25 1/3 innings at the major league level out of their bullpen and pitched to a 4.62 ERA. Not a bad debut. Only 28 years old, so there's plenty of room to grow there. It's not like he's this 34-year-old that's just getting his shot like Dennis Quaid and the Rookie. Like you're getting a guy that Arizona gave a shot to, was okay, and probably has a lot of growth available based on the fact that he's only thrown 25 innings at the major league level. With that, I like that even better for the weird arm slot because it means, hey, you don't have a lot of film or a lot of guys out there that have experience against him. So it should mean that you'll catch some guys off guard this year if he is in the Phillies bullpen. And the other thing that I really like from Kyle Bacchus is he's a lefty, which your 2 guys in the bullpen that you're really looking at as your trusted lefty relievers are Jose Alvarado and Tanner Banks. Your other 3 high leverage guys in Brad Keller, Joan Duran, and Orion Kerkering are all right-handed pitchers. So you could add another lefty that, hey, who knows? Maybe he does turn into a guy you can use in the 6th or 7th inning. Maybe he is a guy that elevates to a sub-4 ERA season in his first full year at the major league level if the Phillies do decide to go that way. And that's something that turns into a boon for the Philadelphia Phillies. What I do know is this. He has an intriguing enough delivery and enough major league experience in those 25 innings that I think it's worth a shot. And he also has options. So that means that if it doesn't work out, he is one of the guys that you can send down to the minor league system and you don't have to worry about him clearing waivers. Him and Max Lazar are like the 2 big name guys that you'd recognize that do have options left. And when we're talking about the final spot in the bullpen, that's very, very important because you don't want a guy to like fail in the first month. He hits waivers, some other team signs him, and he's gone forever. The option part of this is very important as well for the organization to look at. And that's why I think Kyle Bacchus is going to get that final spot in the Phillies bullpen. Now, what would be a good expectation for him? I don't even know what to tell you. Let's go with, if he has a successful season, 35-plus innings. The strikeout numbers are interesting for him because it's not really his bread and butter, at least wasn't at the major league level, had 22 strikeouts and 25 1/3 innings pitched. So if he throws 35 innings, let's go more than 30 strikeouts. And if he could get that ERA right around 4.5 out of the bullpen to the point where he's not exploding in games, but I don't think I can put expectations any higher than that. It'd be pretty darn good to see from Kyle Backhus, and I think you could do much worse for the final spot in your bullpen. So that's the season preview for him, and with that, we've wrapped up the bullpen. So on tomorrow's episode, guess what? We're on to the position players, folks, and there are some big seasons ahead for some of the big names and some of the new guys for the Phillies. So a lot more intriguing stuff to go as we continue our season previews, and there's a lot more to get into that the snowstorm stopped my ability to get to in the moment that we're going to kind of backtrack to. But there is a lot of news coming out about the Phillies because spring training has gotten rolling. And that's the time when you start to figure out what chance this team has. That's all for today's episode of Locked On Phillies, though. So thank you so much for joining us. Once again, we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube, all that great stuff that I talked about. And I will talk to you tomorrow on our next episode of Locked On Phillies.